Van smoothed a hand on her dress, studying her reflection in the mirror. The soft yellow sundress fluttered around her knees, a perfect outfit for a summer barbecue night. A little lip gloss would be perfect. She dabbed a little gloss on her lips, smiling faintly at her reflection. Outside, the evening hummed with life, birds settling down, distant laughter from a neighbor's house, and the faint horn of the cars passing by. But inside, it was absolute chaos. "No, Appa, that hurts," came her 4-year-old daughter Era's pained voice, which made her pause. "I'm just fixing it. Stop moving," came her husband's exasperated voice. She heaved a sigh and resumed her task, applying a good amount of lip gloss until they were shining. "But I don't like it." She heard a loud shriek of her daughter, a sound of disapproval followed by her husband's deep groan. The argument in the living room escalated into dramatic sniffles and offended gasps. Her lips twitched just slightly. Her husband and his miniature version were at war again, for the fifth time in the last 4 hours. "I don't like you right now." It was a cue for Ryan to step in between and stop them before the argument could turn into both of them giving side eye to each other. She had barely placed her lip gloss back on the dresser when soft, hurried footsteps padded towards the bedroom. The door creaked open. At the threshold stood Era, teary-eyed, bottom lip pushed out dramatically. Tiny feet clashed at her sides, and chin quivering as if she would cry any moment. "Amma," she whimpered as she ran straight towards her mother and hugged her legs. Behind her, Jimin appeared, dressed in a pair of loose pants and a button-down black shirt. His shoulders were slumped as if he had lost every battle, a pink comb dangling uselessly from his hand. His expression was a mixture of guilt and "please save me." "He ruined my hair," she sniffed, pointing an accusing finger behind her. "Princess, I was trying to fix it." He took a step forward, but Era buried her face into her mother's knees, refusing to be coaxed by his sweet talks. Hera raised her head, looking up at her mother with wide doe eyes. "He even pulled my hair." Vine gasped dramatically and crouched down, pulling her closer. "Oh no, did he?" She nodded, sniffing continuously as if she were on the verge of bursting into loud cries, her eyelashes wet from unshed tears. "I wanted to look pretty, and now I don't." Jimin stepped forward, his daughter's sniffles making him weak in the knees, stabbing deep into his heart. He could never endure her cries. It didn't matter if she cried for a petty reason, he just couldn't bear it. "Princess, listen," but Vine interrupted him by shaking her head. Her expression said, "Let me handle it," which made him shut his mouth. "Let me fix it, okay?" Era nodded, and that was when Vine noticed her pigtails. One sat proudly high on the top of her head, while the other drooped sadly near her ear. She bit her lip to stop herself from laughing. Beside her, Jimin cleared his throat upon noticing her expression. "I tried, okay, but she wouldn't sit still." Anna's shriek came instantly. She stomped her feet, glaring angrily at her father as if he was the only cause of her distress, which was true. "I must send him out of the room." She huffed dramatically, crossed her tiny arms across her chest, and looked away. Jimin's jaw dropped at her sassiness. Vine raised a brow at Jimin, a small, teasing smile resting on her lips. "You heard her." "I'm not going anywhere." He narrowed his eyes at both of his ladies and stepped towards the bed. He slumped down with a heavy, defeated sigh. Never had he ever imagined that a 2 foot tiny, wobbly creature would have him wrap around her little finger and that she would make him dance on her demands, and he would be down on his knees for her. But here he was, father of a daughter whose mere cry made him restless. Van picked Era up and made her sit on the chair in front of the dresser. She reached for a hairbrush and gently detangled her hair. With practiced fingers, she evened out her hair and tied it into 2 tiny pigtails, adding the pink butterfly clips she adored. "There, all better?" Era's face lit up instantly like sunshine after rain. She giggled, bouncing happily in the chair. "I look pretty." Her laughter was contagious, bringing a smile on her parents' faces. She jumped off the chair and ran towards Jimin, forgetting about the resentment she carried earlier. Jimin straightened up as Era stopped in front of him and twirled around, holding her pink dress. Appa, look! Jimin, being an enthusiastic father, gasped dramatically, clutching his hood. Oh my heart can't handle this much cuteness, so pretty. Era burst into laughter at her father's buffoonish antics. She approached him with a pout. Jimin, as if on cue, bent his head to her face level. He grinned when she pressed a loud smooch on his cheek and then cupped his face in her tiny palms. Don't ruin Era's hair, okay? Be good to me, okay? Okay, Appa. Jimin barely held himself back from laughing when his daughter scolded him cutely. Okay, Your Highness, I'll do better. She beamed at him, her eyes disappearing just like her father. Leaving his cheeks, she turned towards her mother. Amma, can I go play with Snow? Snow, their pet cat, who was lounging lazily in the corner of the room, suddenly sprang up, her heart perking up upon hearing her name being called. Okay, but Era completely ignored him. Her attention was fixed on Vian. Can I go play with Snow, Amma? She asked again. Jimin's brows twisted in confusion. Yes, Hera, you can go and play, he replied again, but got ignored by his daughter again. Amma, can I go and play with Snow outside? Yeah, be careful and don't run. Jimmy's jaw dropped in bewilderment when Hera stormed out of the room, Snow running after her. Their footsteps slowly faded in distance, but the shock remained intact on his face. Wow, he scoffed, completely and utterly out of words. Did you witness what just happened? Wine chuckled and turned towards the mirror to finish dressing up. The room fell quiet. Warm arms slipped around her waist from behind. A smile stretched on Vine's lips when Jimin placed his chin on her shoulder, his warm breath tickling her skin. Isn't my wife looking perfect? She leaned back to rest comfortably in his arms, her smile widening. Doesn't my husband always say that? He chuckled, rubbing his cheek against hers, the day-old stubble tickling her. Now move. I need to get ready. We can't be late. She sweated his arms off her waist and picked up the heart-shaped earrings, but Jimin's hand appeared, snatching them off. Let me help you. She opened her mouth to protest, but he pressed a finger on her lips. Let a very loving, very wife-dedicated husband have his time admiring his very gorgeous, very breathtaking wife. She snorted when he whipped her around and put on her earrings. He grabbed her pendant next, collecting her shoulder-length brown hair. He draped it to one side, revealing her bare neck to his side. But what caught his eye was a butterfly tattoo on her nape, his name written in bold letters in it. He hooked the necklace around her neck, and as if driven by a strong urge, he moved before his brain could catch up and pressed a chapstick kiss right above the tattoo. Her body broke down in many goosebumps. Even after being together for more than a decade, the effect he had on her needed to be studied. It still gave her an annoying flutter in her stomach. With a practiced motion, he twirled her around to face him, their gaze colliding in an intense eye contact. His eyes dropped to her lips, and it took him great effort to look back into her eyes. I was thinking, no, she replied instantly, already knowing where this was heading. That your lip gloss looks tempting. Allow me to find out what it tastes like. He dipped his head, but Vine pressed a hand on his mouth and gently shoved him back. I know your intentions very well, mister. If I allow you now, we wouldn't make it out of this room, let alone the night out, so no. She shook her head firmly. But isn't it good, you and I, us, together? His lips quirked in a suggestive smirk as he took one step towards her. Vian, however, was aware of his tactics. She grabbed his shoulders and twirled him around before he could trap her with his oh so tempting eyes. Before Jimin could process it, she was already pushing him towards the door. Babe, I'll be good. Don't kick me out at least. Nope, I don't trust you. She pushed him out of the room and closed the door halfway. He turned just in time to stop her from closing it completely. Okay, let's make a deal. Give me a kiss and I'll go. No, I've spent a good amount of time applying my lipstick. I won't let you ruin it. She tried to close the door, but he fought against it. Don't be so cruel to me, the beautiful mother of our pretty daughter. Vine snickered at the nickname but didn't let his bleeding eyes melt her. Go and play with our pretty daughter, the gorgeous father of hers, and then she shut the door in his face. You're such a meanie, he called from the other side of the door. She laughed and heard his footsteps slowly fading in the distance. When they reached Taeyong's house, the backyard buzzed with laughter and chaos. String lights twinkled overhead. The air smelled like grilled corn and smoky spices. Jin and Yoongi were standing near the grill, being the experienced ones in grilling. Beside them stood ladies, chatting and laughing among themselves. They prepared drinks for everyone. Taeyong, Namjoon, and Hoshok stood around a table in the middle of the yard, which they were probably moving to another spot. But the most fascinating thing about it was Namjoon holding a chair in one hand and its broken leg in another, an embarrassed smile on his lips. Meanwhile, it was hard to fathom Hoshok's expression, whether he was judging or he was terrified. Hyung, why don't you do some other work? Obi Hyung and I will handle it, he said with a smile which looked more like a forced one. No, it's okay, I'll help you. He threw the chair aside, which broke into many pieces, its leg rolling in many directions. Hoshok looked at the broken chair and then at Namjoon. We won't be fine for long if you keep helping us, he muttered to himself, but Taeyong heard it. He snorted loudly but covered it with a cough. Besides that drama, chaos erupted. Jungkook, the only single one in the group, was in charge of handling kids, but it appeared he was fighting a battle rather than babysitting his brother's kids. I think you guys need to calm down. Two kids clung to his legs, two pulled his hands, and one was draped over his shoulders, tugging his hair hard. He was the first one to notice Jimin and Ryan. He somehow got out of the kid's grip and ran towards them. Watching her favorite uncle approaching, Era started bouncing in Jimin's arms. Cookie uncle, oh my favorite person in the world. Era jumped in his arms and hugged him by his neck. Shall we go and play? He didn't even stop to greet Jimin and Ryan as he ran to join the kids along with Era. I'll go and join my gang. She walked away to join the ladies, leaving Jimin alone. Hey, Jimin, late as always. Oh, Jimin. You Jimin today, Jimin. I'm surprised you made it before the night is over. The chaos intensified as soon as they noticed him. They all spoke at the same time that it was hard to tell who was speaking what. Yoongi, the quietest one, acknowledged him with a curt nod. Now that you are here, come help us set up the table. Jimin nodded and walked towards them. What should I do? I want to help. The three guys paused and shared a look. Hoshak pointed behind him towards Jin and Yoongi. Join them, they have plenty of work to do. They would appreciate a helping hand. Namjoon nodded, a smile curving on his lips, his dimples full on display. As he made his way towards the grill, Jin and Yoongi stood alarmed. In fact, Yoongi took two cautious step backs. Stay where you are. Messing with fire can be dangerous. Hyung, I want to help. Jin shared a look with Yoongi, who slowly shook his head. We are almost done, Namjoon. We can handle it. Young, come on. You both are doing it all alone. Let me help. I'll do anything. Trust Kim Namjoon's culinary skills. That's the only thing we can't trust. He muttered under his breath and continued the task at hand. Meanwhile, Jin was stuck. He forced a smile, tried to find a less dangerous task for him. Oh, why don't you peel some potatoes? Seriously, Hyung, he's gonna hurt himself, he whispered. I'm trying to distract him, he whispered back. Meanwhile, Namjoon was already walking towards the vegetable basket, happy at being assigned a task. But as he tried to grab a potato, he knocked the basket and it toppled down on the ground, the veggies rolling in every corner. Yoongi gave a look to Jin that said, I told you so. Oh, sorry, I'll pick it up. He spent the next 5 minutes putting the veggies in the basket, but when he placed it back on the table, he knocked over a spoon holder. The expression on Jin and Yoongi's faces was a sight to be captured and preserved for centuries. They were either questioning their lives or choices or Namjoon's ability and strong willpower to survive. Why don't you go and take a seat? I'll bring the potato and a peeler. Namjoon managed to give a small, mortified smile and quietly went to take a seat at the far table. Jin grabbed one potato and a peeler and handed it to him. With great dedication, he started his mission, peeling the potato before the night ends. Jimin and Taeyong had taken over the grill now. They grilled the meat, talking about their daily lives when Jimin's gaze fell on something, or rather someone. How do you survive this? He jutted his chin towards where Taeyong's sons were wrestling with each other while Jin and Namjoon's sons cheered for them. Taeyong spared a glance at where he was pointing and heaved a sigh. Taeyong 6 and Taejun 3 were rolling on the ground, holding each other's hair, but Taeyong remained as calm as before. I just let them be. As long as they survive, it's not an issue. Jimin stared at him dumbfounded. I just can't relate. And I'm sorry, but I'm glad I have a daughter because I can't handle this ruckus every day. The young snorted but nodded in agreement. You are lucky that you don't go through what I experience. Imagine you are looking for your son in the entire house, thinking he had gone missing, and he is hanging out in the toilet, dipping his head in the pot. What? He shrieked in horror. Just thinking about the situation gave him chills, while the young just laughed it off. Look there, heaven on earth. He nodded towards the other side where Yoongi and Hoshok sat, surrounded by Era, Yoongi's daughter, and Hoshok twin daughters. They made small pigtails of the men's hair, who appeared elated. I envy you all girls' dads. I want a daughter. He shook his head, letting out an exasperated sigh. First, save your sons. The fight has gotten intense. Taeyong snapped his head towards his sons, who were now fighting like MMA wrestlers. Jungkook, separate them before they end each other. Jungkook rushed towards them without a word, but as he tried to separate them, they hold him in the fight. One man against four boys. Jungkook was knocked to the ground, four of them climbing on him. That's a foul. It's against the rules. But nobody cared about the rules or Jungkook. They fought until a loud voice echoed through the backyard. It was Taeyong's wife, Minji. Boys, get back here or else my palm would be up your cheeks. The little boys littered like cockroaches, leaving Jungkook slumped on the ground. He pushed off the ground and walked towards Taeyong and Jamin. Don't you ever dare to ask me to babysit your sons. My back can only handle so much. Jimin and Taeyong snickered at his response. As soon as the food was ready, everyone gathered to set the plates. The food was brought to the table. Kids were managed more like Minji's warning had everyone behaving like a good person. Everyone gathered around the table when a loud voice echoed, "Ha! I peeled the potato." The silence that followed was heavy. Namjoon blinked, holding the peeled potato like a victory flag. Others blinked, staring among themselves and then at Namjoon. Oh, bravo, bravo, good work, Namjoon. He clapped his hands. Others followed him, singing bravo in a chorus. Namjoon smiled in shyness, looking all giddy and proud. Come and join us. Let's have dinner. Good work, everyone. Everyone settled at the table. As soon as Jimin was seated, he looked for his daughter. He smiled when he saw her sitting across from him, but a frown marred his face when Taeyong's son occupied the chairs on either side of hers. The food was served, everybody started eating, but Jimin kept a close eye on Era, more than her on the naughty boy beside her. Era, try this, it's delicious. He placed a piece of grilled pork belly in her plate. She smiled at him. Meanwhile, this gesture had unsettled Jimin. It was an adorable interaction between two kids, but he didn't like it. He was supposed to be the only man in Era's life for now, a superhero, her savior. His frown deepened when Taeyun kept sharing his food with Era. What ate him more was that his daughter was smiling at him when he clearly taught her to crawl at any guy who even breathed in her vicinity. Stop glaring at the poor kid and eat. He's Era's friend. He's not, he replied instantly. Wine shook her head in helplessness and resumed eating. The dinner ran smoothly, though Jimin kept calling now and then. But then came the moment when his heart almost burst. Era, you are so pretty. And then, with a slow, deliberate motion, he leaned towards her and pressed a soft peck on her cheek. Era giggled bashfully. A series of awes resonated from the table, but Jimin, he was burning from inside. Anger, bitter and blazing, sheared through his nerves. He jolted up, the chair scraping loudly against the stony pavement. A heavy silence settled in the air as he rounded the table and picked up Era. Gave the 6-year-old boy a stern look, though the latter seemed unfazed, happily nibbling on a corn. Kim Tae-yun, why did you kiss my daughter? Tae-yun looked up, the corner of his mouth stained with spices. Because she is pretty, and Appa said we should kiss pretty ladies to tell them they look beautiful. The stare Jimin gave to Taeyong was cold, sending a shiver down his spine. What are you teaching your kids, Kim Taeyong? I can't say anything to him because he is a kid, but don't you dare to think I'll spare you. Taeyong swallowed, his hands raising in defense. Hold on, I said it because they wouldn't let me kiss my wife. Now he was the center of Minji's hard glare. I mean, you need to calm down, Jimin. It was an innocent pact. Our kids are friends and they might date. No, my daughter won't date your son. An intense silence spread across the table. All the eyes were fixated on the two best friends. Thing stood up looking offended. Why? What's wrong with my son? Everything is wrong with every guy in the world. My daughter won't date anyone. She's too precious to be shipped with any guy, he said in a tone of finality. God help us if any guy even tried to approach Era. This old man would be a pain in there. Excuse me, who are you calling old? You, of course, you are overreacting. You aren't the only girl dad here. Look at Yoongi Hyung and Hobie Hyung, are they? He paused when he looked at the older ones. Yoongi had his daughter sitting on his lap, his protective arms wrapped around her. Meanwhile, Osho kept his twins on either side of him, keeping them close to himself. Jim smirked at him. Unbeknownst to him, Era had slipped out of his arm and sat beside Taeyun again. While the elders argued, the younger ones made a pact between themselves. You're so nice, Uppa. I'll marry you one day. No, Era, we are kids and kids can't get married. Then let's get married when we grow up, please. She pouted and batted her eyelashes innocently, a gesture which always let her have her ways. You are so stubborn. Okay, let's get married when we grow up. Once he agreed, she giggled and pressed a peck on his cheek. Era, you will get us both in trouble. Jimin uncle would be angry. 21-year-old Taeyun said, panicking as 19-year-old Era snuck out from the balcony of her room. Oh, come on, just say you don't want to spend time with me. You don't have to hide behind the excuse of my appa. She rolled her eyes, folding her arms across her chest. You know there is nothing like that. I don't want to make uncle for it. Sneaking out at 1 at night is not cool, Era. Era heaved a huge sigh. Your uncle doesn't nag me as much as you do. Just say you're scared of him. Of course I am. He might not say a word to you, but he would rewrite my life history if he found out. That's right, Kim Taeyun. Both Era and Taeyun froze on their place when they heard the voice. Slowly they turned and found Jimin standing there, a baseball bat in hand. Behind him stood a very guilty Kim Tae-jun. Sorry, he caught me and I had to tell everything. What is happening here? What were you doing, Park Era? She swallowed nervously and ducked her head down. I asked something and you, Kim Taeyun. He flung the baseball bat which Taeyun dodged just in time and hid behind Era. Hiding behind my daughter, you brat. Come here, I'll teach you a lesson. Era spread her arms out, making a shield in front of Taeyun. Appa, listen to me. There's nothing to listen to. A tall, brooding, breathing man under my daughter's balcony is unacceptable. He's just jealous that I'm taller than him. What did you say, you brat? He snarled at the younger one. The twirling match continued for a few minutes with Taeyong hiding behind Era and Era protecting him from her father. Jimin stopped after a few moments, a stern look in his eyes. I have called your father. I want all of you inside the house. All three of you. He turned and started walking towards the front of the house. But Appa, not a word until Taeyong comes here. Saying so, he left, leaving the three younger ones fidgeting with anxiety. Jimmy sat across from the three guilty kids, arms folded in front of his chest. A half-asleep Vian stood near the base of the stairs. Jamin, their son, equally tired, leaned against her. Taeyong barged into the living room panting heavily. Minji and their daughter, they followed closely behind. They assessed the situation for a moment before Taeyong stopped beside Jimin and the other two joined Vian. What's the issue, Taeyong and Taejun? Why are you both here at freaking 1 in the night? Both the boys ducked their heads down, not wanting Era to get into trouble. Sneaking out, they even convinced Era to go with them. He walked on her, jumping from the balcony. After hearing his explanation, Taeyong looked disappointed. Do you guys think it's fun? Do you know how unsafe it is? For all three of you, I expected better from you. His voice was stern, though it carried disappointment. I wasn't even included in the plan. I was there for moral support, he mumbled in a low, small voice. Taeyong shifted his gaze to Taeyun, who immediately looked down. Oh, come on, I thought you have become responsible, Taeyun. Suddenly, Era scrambled up, meeting Taeyong's eyes. It isn't even their fault. It was my plan. I forced Taeyong to come here. At 1 at night? Why did you even call a guy to help you sneak out? His thoughts were still spiraling around the fact that the Era called a guy, and especially Taeyun of all guy. Enough. I need to tell you all something. Taeyun's eyes widened in horror. He shook his head, but Era had made up her mind. She entwined her hand with his and looked straight at Jimin. Appa, I love Taeyun, and he loves me too. We have been dating for 6 months now. The house fell silent. Jimin slowly turned to look at Taeyong. At the same time, Taeyong also turned his head towards him. Then, as if to rub salt on his wound, a victorious smirk twisted on Taeyong's lips. Oh my, that's really good news. What could be more precious than our kids falling in love? My precious kids. He hugged both of them, easing their nerves slightly. Now they awaited Jimin's approval because their mothers already knew about this. Appa, won't you say something? No, I don't approve. Oh, he is so happy that he has forgotten to speak. He has no problem, kids, enjoy. But Taeyong cut him off by hugging him tightly. Yo, shorty, before you dare to be the salty father and ruin the moment, there are a few things you need to know. My son can in love with your daughter and get married behind your back, and I'd be the one driving the car. So be careful. He pulled back with a grin. Come on, Jimena, our kids are waiting for your words of affection. Jimin sighed as he looked at Era, his eyes softened. He smiled and nodded. Relief washed over her. She ran into his arms and hugged him tightly. Thank you, Appa. Anything for your happiness. She pulled back from the hug, barely holding a squeal. Theo approached him looking guilty like a thief who stole something precious. Sorry, uncle. Jimmy tried to maintain a stern expression, but as soon as he muttered an apology, he burst into laughter. Come here. He embraced him in a fatherly embrace, surprising everyone in the room. Jimmy had always had a beef with Theon, the reason being his daughter. I do not have any problem as long as my daughter is happy, but the day you make her cry would be the day I buy a black suit. He whispered in his ear, sending chills down his spine. All the best to be son-in-law. He pulled back with a warm smile as if he hadn't just threatened the poor guy. Alright guys, let's go and have a movie night. Era and the Kim brothers screwed away, disappearing upstairs in Era's room. I swear to God, Wine, I do not have a moment of peace with this man and his offsprings. The young called a remark while the young Wine took her away to her bedroom. After they were gone, the young turned to Jimin, a smirk playing on his lips. He danced in front of him. Jimin scoffed, rolling his eyes at his friend's childishness, his expression a mixture of frustration and defeat. But soon, his face lit up when he looked past his shoulder. Taeyong paused upon observing the shift on his face. He turned to look at what he was looking at. His smugness faded and squall took over. Jimin and Tae were smiling at each other, not a normal smile but a sneaky, bashful one. His eyes widened when Jimin gestured towards his room, and Tae silently followed him. No, I don't approve. Go on, kids, enjoy. He pressed a palm on Taeyong's mouth and watched as the kids disappeared in Jimin's room. The ball was in Jimin's court. It was his turn to act all smug and proud. He danced in front of him. But what they were unaware of was that others had secured a place in rooms, while they were the only ones left to share the space in the living room and probably spend the night on the couch.